Welcome to the family den, everybody. Now, this is where the Edisons really would have bonded and really would have hung out together as a family. Now, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the Edisons would have been doing a lot of the things that we do today in our living rooms at home, except they would have been doing them a bit differently. They would have been watching movies, but instead of on a DVD player or maybe a plasma, they were watching them on one of these. Does anyone know what this is?
8mm.
Anyone? Edison invention?
Projector.
Projector, also known as a kinetoscope. Very good. It would have been listening to music, but rather than on a compact disc player or maybe your computer, on the Edison diamond disc phonograph. The device that's next to the phonograph is what's known as a megalethoscope. And all it is it can be compared to a viewfinder of today. You place a slide through the larger end and you look through a screen at the smaller end and you turn that knob on the side and different pictures will pan across the screen. Now, Thomas Edison passes away in 1931 and his wife Mina really decides to turn the family den into a trophy room in homage of her late husband. And what I mean by that is that a lot of the artifacts and the things that you see around this room were actually gifts that were given to Mr. Edison throughout his illustrious career. One item in particular that stands out is the Japanese bamboo bow and arrow set that we have here. This was actually a gift that was given to Mr. Edison by the Prime Minister of Japan at the time. Does anyone know the significance of the bamboo, maybe? Well, bamboo is actually used as the original filament for the first incandescent light bulb that Edison created. And the Japanese were very fond of Edison and they really respected him. So the Prime Minister of Japan sent him over this lovely Japanese bamboo bow and arrow set that he has here. Now, when it came to the decorative side of the mansion, Thomas really left that up to his wife for the most part. But one thing in particular that he did request is the painting that you see here on the ceiling. Now, this painting was done by a personal friend of Thomas Edison's whose name was Anthony Gotti. G-O-T-T-I, no relation. Anthony Gotti actually was asked to do this portrait, and Thomas Edison approached his friend Anthony and said, you know, I just want a portrait of something to represent the phonograph, his greatest invention. And that's what this portrait is meant to represent. You have the angel on the left who's writing or recording her ideas down, whereas the angel on the right is where the sound is actually being produced or coming out of.
Do you consider that more than the light bulb?
What's that?
His greatest invention?
Yeah, for sure.
The phonograph?
Yeah.
Huh. What are these little strange...
Very good question. This is not Rorschach, as we get quite frequently. This was actually a game that Thomas Edison would have played with his good friends. And if you can sort of imagine, they would have been hanging around here in the family den, you know, drinking their glasses of scotch, smoking cigars, and they would have taken an ink pen. And with that ink pen, they would have signed their signature on a piece of paper. And they would have folded that piece of paper in half, and the ink pen would have left a smudge, and they would have thrown the names in a hat. And you would take turns picking the names out of a hat, and you would have to unfold the piece of paper, and from the smudge that the ink pen left from the signatures being folded, you would have to try to guess whose signature it actually was from the design left on the ink pen.
What's that?
Yeah, there's definitely some notable figures on there. I think
Henry Ford is up on the left.
Yeah.
Carl Clark.
He has a portrait of Sherman up on the wall. Why? Stones or something.
That I don't know. There's a lot of portraits in here.
Yeah, Confederate sympathies.
Yeah, there is a portrait of Robert E. Lee as well. That really has no significance other than the fact that it was done by an artist that Edison actually enjoyed.
Did Edison invent photography?
No. Photography was pretty beyond him. Alright, we're going to head to the servants' quarters of the home. Down this way. Alright folks, here we have the servants' quarters of the home. Now, the Edisons rarely ever would have been back here. 99% of the time that door would have been closed. Again, this was strictly for the servants. You have the servants' dining hall here. To the left, you have the kitchen where meals were obviously prepared. And all the way to the far right, you have the laundry room, or what they would have called the wash room. Now, at any one point, there would have been anywhere from 4 to 6 live-in servants who were living here inside the Glenmont estate. At any one time, there would have been anywhere from 10 to 12 working, being that Thomas Edison had one rule. And that rule was that no male servants were allowed to live in the home, only female servants. He did have butlers and chauffeurs and other male servants. They were just not allowed to live here in the estate.
Still pretty cute. We've gotten stuck here in this corner.
Maybe you've heard about Frank Lloyd Wright's father. Chopped the whole family up with an axe.
Frank Lloyd Wright?
Huh?
That's how he died?
Huh?
That's how he died?
No, he got out. I think he might have been away with his wife and kids and all
I
the
never
rest.
heard that.
This guy set a fire, and as people were running out of the house, he chopped them all up with an axe.
I know, I have never heard that. That's totally insane. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Edison had a bears and maids.
Well, some of these shirts are getting hollers on them because they're removed.
Yes.
No comment, so that means yes to me. We're fast. Yeah.
Well, there's no real
But he
collar.
wasn't gonna let me know.
Yeah, I remember my grandfather, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I read ads of those.
Do you know who that painting is? That one right there? Do you know by whom that is?
I do not.
Your part right here, you know? Like the scene where the guy runs in and gets
You're exactly right. It's a little dreadnought tile. For what reason? I really have no idea. Alright folks, welcome to the upstairs living quarters of the Edisons. Now, this floor was very personal and private, and not many guests would have been allowed access up to this floor. We do have about 6 rooms on this floor, so I'm going to give everyone a quick rundown on each one. Here we have the very personal upstairs family den. Thomas Edison also has his home office here. This is really probably one of the most personal rooms in the home. As I said earlier, guests really would not have been allowed access up to this room and this floor in particular. This is where the Edisons sort of would have hung out and bonded as a family, playing board games, reading books, really before bedtime. And Thomas Edison was actually known to do a lot of meditating up here in this room as well. This is really where he gained the solitude that he needed after working a 120-hour work week in order to really keep up with his inventing and his hard work. Mina Edison also has her desk here in the back, just behind the couch there, and Mina Edison was really seen as the home executive. She did all the staffing, all the scheduling for the staff. She handled finances. She scheduled all the special events that were run here at the mansion. So she really wasn't your typical stay-at-home mother. She really had some pretty large responsibilities. So she liked to self-proclaim herself as the home executive of the estate. Here we have the master bedroom. This is not actually the largest room in the home, but Mina Edison chose this room specifically because of the very large windows and because of the balcony that leads actually over top of the conservatory here.
Is there access you can actually go out?
Yep.
with their bedroom?
Yep, that is the original bed that Thomas Edison passes away on October 18th in 1931. Just next to the master bedroom would have been their first child, Madeleine's bedroom. Now you'll notice there is a baby crib in the corner of the room. Believe it or not, Madeleine was the only one of Edison's 6 children to have kids of her own. So she would often frequent the home as an adult, and she would typically stay in the same room that she grew up in as a child while being able to attend to her own children.